when we're looking at this screen here, we're getting a sense of how the data is performing. Today we can see that the total number of outbound calls is 97, and we can see that 36.1% of those calls have actually answered. And so 16 of the answered calls have been decision maker contacts, and it's possible here to set how we prefer to describe whether this should be DMC, which means decision maker contact, but we can reconfigure this to say RPC, which stands for right party contact, if that's the terminology that we prefer to use. So we can see here that 44% of the answered calls are conversations with actual decision makers. And we can also see that out of those 16, we've actually created 4 sales, which means that 25% is the conversion rate of our decision maker contacts to salespeople. Here I can see the individual campaigns that are operating, and I can see this stats here on a campaign by campaign basis. I can also get a sense of how many records are left in the campaign so that I can see that I've got enough data to manage what I'm looking for. And if I want to drill in deeper into a campaign, I can click this button here and get the campaign dashboard. Again, this gives me the same 4 particular statistics of number of calls, answered, decision makers and sales, but on a per person basis. So each person in the campaign now, I can see what their own performance is. I can also look at the conversion of the outcome codes in more detail, so it gives me a better indication of exactly how the data is being managed and dispositioned during the process. And from this screen, if I want to, I can go into edit the actual campaign. And the way this works, I can change the settings on the campaign to behave differently. Maybe I want to switch different users, so I can add a couple more people to this list, or I can take them away, or I can reorder the dispositions and the way that those dispositions appear on the screen. So if I want to, I can reorder the way the dispositions appear for the customer. I can also change the shift patterns here. So on a per campaign basis, I can set it up so that one shift will work, campaign will work different shifts to another. But most of the time, I'm likely to find myself looking at these stats so I can get a general overview of how the data is performing and how the staff are performing. And one of the main benefits of the system is that it's possible to take the basic data that you need to do to run an outbound team and see that really easily, visibly in the user interface. So the main thing you're looking for is the number of outbound calls, and the next stat you're interested in is what quantity of those calls were actually answered, and then you want to know the percentage of answered calls. That represents the quality of the data, how good is the data. And the next stat is, of the percentage of calls that answered, what percentage of those were a conversation with the decision maker. Now that stat, in fact, is represents the quality of the agent. How good are they at converting a gatekeeper into a conversation with a decision maker. And then the ultimate statistic you're interested in is what percentage of calls where you have a conversation with a decision maker result in a sale. And it's great to see all of those for the whole business, but what's also great in the user interface is that you can see that information on a per campaign basis, but it's then possible to drill into the campaign and see the same information on a per user, per agent basis. So you can really drill into the whole campaign and see how each individual is performing, how the campaign's performing, and how the data's performing.